A lot of information has already come out about the update in Grove Garden. There's the P event and achievement and a bunch of new mechanics that you can see in the game. Hey guys, what's up?
Let's make a record number of likes under the video. Please like and subscribe and we'll move on.
And I just want to tell you more about this update in detail. First of all, let's take a look at, let's go to the official Roblox page and see what's in the description of this update. Here's the update itself. So, this update will be related to Ps. Now let's translate and read all of this more carefully. In this update, you'll find the Battle Stem event, or the P event. Grow plants, climb them, and unlock new grow plants, climb them, and unlock all sorts of new rewards. This update will also introduce a garden guide, I'll talk more about that later, a catalog of plants, pets, and much more. Track your collection, earn achievements, and level up your garden. Discover and take part in the Battle Stem event, explore the new garden guide, and unlock new pet seeds, items, weather, new features, and much more. Keep an eye on the events so you don't miss out. For emojis as usual. Now you can actually take a closer look at the picture because it might seem simple at first, but in reality there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Just look at this P stem. Something is definitely off here. It's like the P is a bit different, and it looks like there are ladders here. Yeah, do you see the ladders here? I won't argue, that's exactly how it is. But the first thing I noticed, of course, was the portal. Sorry about the quality. This is exactly the quality that the developers gave us. Next, you can actually enter this portal. Yeah, of course, what else would it be for? And unfortunately, you won't be able to enter this portal right away. Yeah, I'll tell you a bit more about that after the update. You won't be able to enter it right away. You'll need, I don't know exactly how long, but maybe 5 hours, that's in the best case scenario, to even have the chance to enter this portal, or maybe even sooner. I don't know how the developers will implement it, but I do know for sure that you won't get in there immediately, so don't expect that. So what else will there be besides this P? There are ladders, and naturally the ladders lead somewhere, but you can't see the top. So maybe there will be something interesting at the top. And you know what I think? That at the top there might be something like, for example, some NPC standing there, just like we have with the Puppet Wind, but here it would be related to this P, or rather the Beanstalk. Guys, do you see that there's a ladder here? So you'll need to parkour up there, and maybe they'll be generated anew each time. And by the way, do you see these little spheres? I'll tell you more about them in detail. Remember these spheres. I'll call them spheres, for example. Now I'll tell you more about them. I didn't just mention these spheres for nothing because, to be honest, I already leaked some insider, let's say, information that you can interact with these spheres. He leaked the script. I won't show it or go into all the details, but basically we don't interact with them using the E key. So like you can walk up, press E, and something happens, some interaction. No, and only when you approach it does the interaction happen, as I understand it. So some kind of interaction will either give you a reward or it will be some sort of checkpoint. I don't know, a checkpoint, that's kind of like a hot dog dropping ketchup or a bun, whatever, it doesn't matter. But look, this is basically the same thing. Just like, for example, we have a dog that can randomly give out some seeds, right? We pick up the seeds not by pressing E but by stepping on them. So that's what I mean. These spheres either give rewards or serve as checkpoints. So of course it would be nice if they gave rewards, but that's not the main point. And guys, the update description mentions something about a garden guide. Guys, I already know that it's going to be a book. And I'll tell you this. You'll either have to buy the book in the gear shop, or you'll have to get it somehow during this event or something like that, or maybe they'll just give it to you at the start. Maybe there will be some NPC here, because basically, what's going to be in this book? We'll have an index of everything, just an index of everything, an index of food, an index of pets, an index of plants, not the plants themselves, but specifically the fruits of the plants, and maybe they'll add something else as well. By the way, it's no coincidence that I mentioned achievements right at the very beginning of the video because, guys, the developers have been talking for a long time about possibly adding achievements. And this is a really perfect moment to do just that. I don't know why, but I just have this gut feeling that they really might add some achievements or maybe some quests or maybe even a battle pass. I don't know, if they add a battle pass, that would be... I just can't believe it. But achievements are actually a pretty reasonable method, or maybe some more challenging quests, because right now, guys, as you know, we have a weekly quest. But honestly, no one really uses them on a daily basis. Yeah, and it wouldn't be bad to have weekly quests as well. Weekly, daily, and monthly quests in this book would actually look really good. Either achievements or quests. A battle pass is a very rare thing. Not a battle pass in the way you're used to, but more like a reward grid that we can loot for free. In that sense, I doubt the developers will go that far, although they already did something like that with the event when there was the event wall when we received rewards. There, you had to complete tasks and sort of level up your battle pass branch. But that's not the point. We talked about the event. By the way, about the event. So what do we need to do? The event description says we need to grow peas. How do we do that? Most likely, it's all very simple here. The developers probably decided not to overcomplicate things and will just do it the same way as the harvest from the summer event. That is when we, for example, collected fruits, brought them here, filled up the bar. Well, not exactly filled up the bar, but completed actually. It wasn't a bar, we just earned points. And at the end of the event, the more points you had, the better the reward was. It's basically the same thing here, by the way. Here too, the rewards depend on which food turns out better. but the food mechanic is a bit different for us. You have to cook it according to recipes. By the way, speaking of food, for some reason, I feel like it will stay. Actually, I truly believe this particular pig will just be moved here temporarily, or it will be like those traveling traders that show up every so often. I think they appear every 4 hours or perhaps every 6. I genuinely can't quite remember anymore. It's been so long since I've seen any traders here that I don't even remember exactly when they show up. That's because nobody uses them. I actually only recently found out that, as it turns out, that bee event from a long time ago has been moved over here. And here you can actually process all of that too, honey and so on. Although no, you can't process honey there, you can buy it, so it turns out you get all that from the bee event. But actually, it would be a pretty cool idea if old updates didn't completely disappear, but instead reappeared in the form of these traders. I mean, yes, it would be much harder for newcomers to do all this. But in any case, if they missed it, it's their own fault. But they still have a very good chance to make up for it.
Yo, what's up guys, it's me, Jandal. Yo, another successful night of admin abuse. But yeah guys, I gotta be honest, I'm thinking of taking the game in a new direction. Just want to hear what the community thinks. I've been calling it the method era of Grow a Garden. So instead of like the focus being, you know, mainly on the weekly events in the middle, I think it would be cool if maybe we started doing some cool stuff for the farm, like machines that can, you know, mutate your pets, or like fertilizer that can turn your trees like rainbow for a couple of hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, kind of just more like complexity like that. I hope this all makes sense. Like, yeah, like I just think it'd be a cool thing for the game. I think people need a little bit more depth and kind of mechanics. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoys it. So put your suggestions down below for things I could do. And yeah, thanks for checking out the admin abuse. Like, me and Albert have been friends for years, and it kind of felt like a full circle moment for us. So it was awesome.
Right after this significant update happened, specifically the second and final part of the cooking event. But I just want to tell you that it was exactly this, the suggestion to add new mechanics to the farm. It was precisely this that I think inspired them to add, or will probably add, that guidebook. Probably we'll be waiting for things like this. I personally like it much more when they actually add things like this. Pet mutations, for example, that's really, well, they added that as a new mechanic. When they added pets in general, that was a completely new mechanic. Right now, I don't know, but at the moment, they haven't really added anything new, in fact. Although, okay, there is a food mechanic here, but I wouldn't say it's really all that new. It's basically the same as the crafting mechanic, except here you actually have to figure out for yourself which crafts are the most profitable. Well, it's a little different from crafting, but in fact it's basically the same crafts, just slightly reworked. But what I really want is for them to actually add some new mechanics. And he suggested adding fertilizers. That would be cool, so we could get fertilizers, buy them either in the gear shop or somewhere else. And for example, we could just sprinkle the ground with fertilizer and bam, it turns rainbow colored. That would actually be really cool because, look, the only thing, by the way, that players can't do for free, in fact, Grove Guard players can do everything for free. They don't even have to donate. They can get everything, but in reality, they'll just spend more time on it. But for example, those exotic seed packs that have rainbow plants, they can't get them for free in any way at all. Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it is. So they absolutely have to donate for all of that. I mean, I've never seen anyone get exotic packs for free. And these fertilizers are actually a pretty good alternative. So they're not doing it in a way that would make donors complain that this mechanic, this feature, where rainbow plants are only for donors, would disappear. No, guys, it won't disappear. But they'll just make it so that for a few hours while the fertilizer is active, you get the rainbow effect. And for example, when we hover over it, some information will be displayed, like this plant was fertilized, and that's why it's rainbow colored. So I mean, you get it, right? People will be getting double the yield. Why are there even rainbow and golden plants? What do they give you? They give you double the fruit right from the start without any mutations. So in fact, there is a need for it. It's a bit of a pay-to-win system, something they made just for donors, but now they've implemented it. If they make these fertilizers, it will just make life easier for all players. Well, it won't exactly make life easier, but it will just give you a chance to experience a bit of the thrill of being a donor without actually donating to the game, while still being a true free-to-play player. Now, I think I'll just go over some concepts that the developers could potentially add to Grove Guard, and you could say it would be cool if they added something from these concepts. And the first thing that players are suggesting is to make a protection tool, that is, a device that protects us from having some fruit stolen. Honestly, that would be pretty cool. This really should have been done a long time ago because, although honestly, how much does it cost here? 5 billion? Well, 5 billion is actually, I'd say not much, because if it's a really expensive fruit, you could even set it at 100 billion. I just don't know why the developers haven't added this yet. Either they deliberately want people to steal no matter what, or they should just make it cost a huge amount. 100 billion, I think, is a reasonable, optimal price, but even then, for some players, that's not much. Especially when I have like 700 trillion, 100 billion is nothing to me at all, really. But still, the concept is cool. Well, if you could, of course, also buy it for Robux. Basically, if you could get it for Robux, but then it would just be way too pay to win. They're offering us these kinds of pets, which every 10 minutes apparently find a tree nearby and give it a 50% chance. Oh, they pick a fruit and give a slice from a mutation. So it picks the fruit itself. It doesn't say that it duplicates it. Overall, it's a pretty decent pet. They're also suggesting we make this one gray in the forest, so Ava every 5 minutes gives another player a garden and goes to another player's garden and steals seeds from the current event. Rare seeds will have a very low chance. Some kind of bird. Okay. Every 5 minutes, it swims and gives the Cordwainshete mutation ability. In short, every 5 minutes, each one will give a Drainshade mutation. That's still just the concept, but basically the default abilities of the characters would just add new mutations, as a matter of fact. What's this? Tortoise? Is that a turtle? Is it really a turtle like that? But we already have a turtle, don't we? But this one is huge. Well, okay, fine. There are fruits nearby. 20. Anyway, the fruits that are nearby have a chance. By 3, they will grow 3.5 times bigger. And so basically this is how all these little pets will look together in one package. They're offering us this kind of event, considering that Jandela, by the way, mentioned some cars. Maybe some vehicles will be added. And this car would fit perfectly here. You know, it could show up and you could ride it around. By the way, yeah, I've wanted for a long time for them to add some kind of event in Grove Garden, even if just for a week, where we could have cars, where there would be a parking lot with 6 cars, and we could just take the cars and simply drive around the garden. Not do anything else, just drive around for fun. That would be just perfect, just really cool. Seriously, wouldn't you agree? There's also this concept with this eco incubator. So before we even hatch an egg, we can put it in here and get a chance either for a rare egg or to increase the chances of that egg dropping some kind of item. Actually, it's a pretty good mechanic, and it kind of felt like it was bound to happen, because what do we have really? What do we have? We have mutations for fruits, for pets. So why not make mutations? Well, not mutations, but some kind of machines for... that would be pretty cool. They're also suggesting we do an event like this. By the way, the image quality is cool, everything is really well done. Some kind of penguin, so what is this? I don't even know. There's a lion like this, a mammoth, and a yeti. Yeah, that's how much it costs. Honestly, it would be cool, a real winter event, but that would be in winter. And in winter, I think, yeah, it would really be the perfect time to add this event. I feel like plants probably won't grow much in winter, but it would be cool to do something else related to snow. Like collecting snow, just like in the snow simulator. Back in the day, the snow simulator was popular in Roblox, and you could do the same thing just in Grove Garden. And here, by the way, is a concept that actually looks pretty good. Check this out, here's the cool part. Here we have a picture of the character. We're in the information tab. Here we can do everything just like we can in Grove Garden. Read information about this pet, find out its level, and see how hungry it is. But if we go to the second tab, Gear, Devices, here we can give the pet some cool gadgets. So for example, one of the mechanics we have is simply giving pets some toys, and when you give them, they like increase their growth, or for example, activate a passive ability with a cooldown on it. But man, it would be cool if all of this could be done through this menu, and if you could give them other fun things permanently. If it were possible to make this permanent, it would actually be really cool. But on the other hand, it's very difficult to implement in terms of trades, because with trades, well, that's gonna be a problem. The problem is that there would be a lot of information on each pet, and it would be very easy to bug raids. In fact, I've considered all these cool concepts. Where did you come in from? Wow, look at the donut he has. The concepts are actually really solid, and honestly, I'm even going to forward some of these concepts to the developers. And honestly, if you want to somehow influence the future of Grove Garden, if you want an update to come out that you've thought through in detail, and guys, please write in the comments. I read every comment, I like them. Well, I like the interesting ones, let's put it that way. And most importantly, if a comment is really interesting and you've shared a genuinely good idea, like for example, in the last video about the update leaks, I forwarded all your concerns about the fact that, well, remember I told you that everyone's gardens would disappear and you'd have to start from scratch for about a week. I forwarded those comments, told the developers chat, like, guys, nobody wants this, nobody wants you to do a rebirth for everyone for a whole week, even if it's just temporary, and the progress will be restored after a week and they'll get their gardens back. And in the end, the devs listened and actually scrapped that idea. So basically, right now we would have just started everything from scratch and it wouldn't have been all that great. That's why the community is what influences the project most of all. And guys, you influence it too. Yes, you, the one watching this video. Guys, if you want to change something, please write any information about the update in the comments, because the developers have way too few ideas for updates. For example, it turns out they actually planned this Beanstalk event a month ago, and well, they just kept going back and forth. Should we do it or not? Do it or not? They didn't have any ideas, so they decided to go ahead with it simply because they had nothing else, and your idea could really end up in the game, because I've seen it happen more than once. For example, this dinosaur event was actually an idea from a subscriber, from Jandela. Jandela was just reading comments on TikTok and he decided to go for it. Like, why not make an update with dinosaurs? That's actually pretty cool. And he really did it. So guys, you have an impact. Not even just guys. You, the person watching this video, you influence the Grove Garden project. So leave your comment, hit like, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget about the giveaway for this cool pet. Yeah, that cool pet that gives you a whole new level every hour. Thanks to everyone for watching. Good luck to everyone, and bye-bye.